Imagine the sound of a fork scraping against a plate, or the sound of a heavy table being dragged across the floor, or someone with long nails scratching a wall, or the sound of chalk on a blackboard. These sounds can literally drive us crazy when we hear them. They make our skin crawl and we can't stand them at all. But why exactly do these specific sounds bother us so much? Welcome! Before we begin, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you get our videos as soon as they come out. First of all, there's a question we need to answer. Do these sounds actually harm those who hear them? Or is it just an exaggeration? Not really, because some people, when they see someone bothered by these sounds, say they're overreacting. I mean, what's the big deal if someone next to you scrapes a fork on a plate and makes your life miserable? It's just a bit of scraping, right? But the truth is that studies and experiments on this topic have proven that people who hear these sounds do indeed get affected. Some researchers, in one experiment, hooked up a group of people to devices measuring heart rate, blood pressure, and skin conductance, which reflects emotional state. Then, they exposed them to sounds of scraping and other irritating noises to see whether the issue was just annoying noise or something more serious with real effects on the human body. The surprise was that when they heard scraping and friction sounds, they showed clear signs of stress and physical pain, meaning it wasn't just an overreaction. Now that we know these sounds can actually harm some people, another question arises: why are they harmful? Especially since the scraping sound itself isn't particularly loud? Initially, we need to understand that the pain from sounds generally isn't related to how loud or soft they are. Loud sounds harming the ears is logical, but there are also softer sounds that can hurt our ears. To understand this, we need to take a quick look at the nature of sound. Every sound we hear starts as waves or vibrations. These waves come from their source and travel through a medium, whether it's water, air, or even a solid object. Then they enter the human ear canal and are transformed into signals our brains can understand and interpret. However, not all the sound waves and vibrations around us are registered by our ears. Otherwise, we'd go crazy. By God's grace, we have a specific range known as the human hearing range. This range includes only the frequencies that are registered and processed within the human hearing range. Sounds within this range can hurt us and cause pain in two cases. The first is the volume and pressure of the sound, which is measured in a unit called decibels. For example, the human hearing range spans from 0 to 120 decibels, and at around 85 decibels, a normal person hears clearly and everything is fine. Above that, a person starts to feel pain and may experience hearing complications. If someone is exposed to sounds at 150 decibels or more, their eardrum could be literally destroyed. The second case that makes any sound harmful to us depends on its frequency and the speed of the sound vibrations. The frequency that humans can detect ranges from 20 Hz to 200,000 Hz. Fast vibrations have a high frequency and the sound is sharp, like a whistle. Slow vibrations have a lower frequency and the sound is deep, like a lion's roar. Within the range that humans can hear, which is 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz, there's a specific area that is the most sensitive to human hearing, and this range is between 2000 Hz and 4000 Hz. In this range, the human ear is very sensitive to sound, and this is where the sound waves of nails scratching, tables dragging, forks scraping plates, and all similar noises fall. That's why these sounds, even though they are not loud, their frequency irritates us. Another important factor that makes these specific sounds annoying is a psychological one. Sharp sounds are always associated with fear and danger because these sounds, for example, resemble screams. That's why sharp sounds, like nails scratching any surface, activate the same neural pathways associated with danger signals in the brain, putting the person in a state of anxiety, stress, and tension. This was confirmed by an interesting study published in 2011 from the Acoustical Society of America, with one of the participants being the German researcher Michael Ehler, a professor of media management at Macromedia University of Applied Sciences in Germany. The study concluded that these sounds can cause us pain and stress because our brains are conditioned to perceive them as such. The preconceived notion that these sounds are harmful makes them actually painful to the person. This is similar to the fear of injections. Injections are painful, but in reality, it's just a tiny prick. But because of the common cultural perception and the negative impression most people have towards injections, most people fear them and thus feel that they are much more painful than they actually are. The same goes for scratching and friction sounds, and amazingly, you'll feel this even if you hear a fake scratching sound. This was proven in an experiment we'll discuss. A group of researchers gathered some people and played them a set of irritating sounds we mentioned, scratching and friction noises. Initially, they found that no one could tolerate the sounds. And there was a consensus that two sounds in particular were extremely horrible: the sound of chalk on a blackboard and the sound of nails scratching a blackboard. The researchers then took these sounds and modified them slightly, creating new versions. They adjusted the frequency ranges and removed the parts that supposedly hurt the ears, meaning they weren't the same sound waves, or, in simpler terms, they weren't the same sounds that would hurt the person. The first group was told exactly what they did, that they had modified the original sound and removed the harmful parts. The second group was told that the sound they would hear wasn't supposed to bother them because it wasn't irritating. The result was that the first group couldn't tolerate the sound because they knew its origin, even though it wasn't supposed to be harmful. But the surprise was that the second group didn't find the sound annoying at all and considered it perfectly normal. This means that the impression we have indeed plays a significant role. Of course, some people listening to us now might not be affected at all by anything we're saying. They might think, "Why are you making such a big deal out of it? It's just annoying scratching, but it's not worth all this fuss." I see you saying that, and I'll address you. The truth is that not everyone is equally sensitive to scratching sounds. Some might find it annoying but can tolerate it, while others get goosebumps and go crazy, or their nerves give out. You might even find someone who is tormented just by thinking about the sound. This in itself is a puzzling question. Why is there such a significant difference between people? The same Acoustical Society of America study we mentioned earlier also clarified that anatomical factors contribute to this issue. For instance, if the size of the ear canal is large, it amplifies the sound and makes its impact on the person greater than it would be for someone else. In the end, it's natural for the response to differ from person to person, from those who aren't affected at all to those who find it intolerable. So, we need to be considerate of each other, especially when we know that someone is genuinely affected. That's it for now. Who made it this far? Those who did are the best. Give us a like before you leave so we know how many people made it to the end. And don't forget, if you have a question that comes to you in the middle of the night and puzzles you, write it in the comments below the video so we can answer it. Goodbye.